Welcome, American truckers, to Trucking with Old Snapper. I'm your host, Old Snapper. Hope all of y'all are staying safe out there on the roads. Winter time's approaching. We've already had some winter weather in some places, so stay safe out there. It's taken a little bit of work with this mic to get it tuned in just right. The highway's probably, 100 yards or so, 150 yards from me, but I can still hear the traffic going by, and I've got the gain turned way down, which is the pickup, which is why I have to get closer. If I turn the gain way up, I could sit across the room and talk on it, but then it picks up all that noise to the point that you can't hear me. I've been running tests on it this evening, trying to get it just right. Hopefully this works. It's probably going to pick up my breath quite a bit, but yeah, anybody who's been watching my channel a while is used to that. Anyway, I touched on this a little bit the other day in a video of why truckers are angry. Kind of an extension of what ET Transport had done. Okay, I'm going to get into that this evening. First thing I wanted to get into, though, is a while back, maybe a month ago, I made so I can hear that truck going by. Hopefully it doesn't come out that well on my mic. I made a video about this guy trucks and Elite. They're tit for tat. And I hadn't kept up with all of the drama, so I was going on what this guy Trucks was saying in one of his last videos before he closed his account, and I felt he was sincere. Plus, all of y'all know that watch me, I put a lot of faith in drivers. Man, I see us all as family. We may be dysfunctional. We argue sometimes and gripe sometimes, but we're all family. We're all out here. We're all in this together. And kind of frustrates me to know that was going on to the level it was going on. But another channel made a comment on my page that, need to look into it and give both guys a fair shake. Well, I got in touch with a friend of mine who has kept up with the drama since the beginning. It's kind of funny, but he likes the drama for whatever reason. But he was able to clue me in on what all happened and where it all started and all that, And I need to apologize to Elite directly. I don't know if he's still on YouTube or not, but I was informed that this guy Trucks pinned one of his comments and then antagonized his followers to attack Elite. That's wrong. And I get comments on my videos sometimes that I don't like, but I'm never going to pin that comment for anybody to attack you. If I don't agree, I don't agree. That's the great thing about humans. We're all different. I'm never going to attack you for having a different point of view. You know what I'm saying? Turn that mic gain down a little bit more. There we go. So, don't ever feel like you can't comment freely on my channel. Okay? But I want an apology to Elite because I was trying to take the middle road, but I kind of leaned more towards this guy Trucks. Look, it was both of their faults. Okay? But it all started with this guy Trucks. He didn't like Elite's comment. He pinned it and basically bullied Elite online. That's wrong. 100% wrong. I'm kind of surprised that YouTube allowed it, but hey, I'm not a founder on YouTube. I don't support that in any kind of way, and like I said, I'm never going to do that to you on this channel. You're free to say what you want. Now, I will say this, So having said that, if you're bullying or threatening someone who's making a comment on one of my videos, I will block you. But if you're having a discussion and just a disagreement, I'm not gonna block you over that. That's up to the other person how they handle it. As long as y'all are not threatening each other, bullying each other, or harassing each other, I won't stand for that. Y'all listen to me give my opinions, and some of it what I know and some of it's opinion, but y'all listen to me for 20-30 minutes. You have every right to have a different opinion than I have, and I'm never going to attack you because you don't agree with me. That's childish. But so, and I want to see all drivers successful on their channels. I don't care who you are or if your opinion's the same as mine. I have religious beliefs, and this guy Trucks doesn't. But I still was kind of supportive of his channel. I'd watch a video here and there, like and comment on it. He was very liberal. I'm not. I'm very conservative. But I still would like his stuff and comment on it because he's a driver. Nevada trucking, same thing. The only one I'm not really doing that with right now is Trucker's Coach, and that's because I'm a little upset with him because I feel like he's burned drivers, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with hurting drivers. Maybe it's not intentional, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just the way it appears to me. But I'll get over that, and eventually I'll watch a couple of his videos again and get past it. I just don't want anybody hurting y'all, just like I wouldn't want anybody hurting me in the industry. But I'm sure I've given bad advice before and may not have realized it. Maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know. I got into all that on the last video. I'm not going to get into it again. But Elite, if you're watching, I apologize. And this guy Trucks, if you're watching, I think you should continue on YouTube, but maybe tone down the drama a little bit, man. You got 70-something thousand subscribers. I'm sure they miss you. Elite, you should continue your channel. You're welcome on this channel anytime you want. You're free to comment however you feel. You're never going to be attacked here. So don't stress on it. And even Trucker's Coach, he's welcome on this channel anytime he wants. He can comment anything he wants. He's never going to be attacked here either. He's a driver. I do respect him as a driver. Just a little disappointed. I doubt he ever will, because he seems to kind of have the attitude that small channels are below him. But hey, that's his prerogative. It doesn't matter to me. I have a ton of respect for Nevada Trucking and Trails. Y'all know what he did a couple weeks ago. I'm a little channel. He didn't have to mess with me at all. But even though he disagreed on some points, it was fine, I didn't see it as an attack. He was doing his thing, and I thought he did a good job of it. And he actually made some points that made me think about, what he was talking about. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's great. He does a commentary on one of mine. It's awesome. He gave me a little boost in subscribers. I think I jumped 70 or 80 subscribers after he did that. It was great, and I really appreciate that. All right. Now, back to trucking. Let's get into what we're going to get into tonight. Once I get through coughing up my lung from smoking way too much. By the way, kids, don't smoke. It's bad for your health. And it's expensive. And it keeps getting more and more expensive. So, don't do it. Anyway, I kind of touched on this in another previous video. I talked about kind of the inconsiderate drivers that seem to have plagued the industry these days. Guys taking their 30-minute breaks in the fuel island. Guys riding in the middle lane, going slow. Some drivers trying to pass other drivers when they're only doing 1 or 2 mile an hour faster, so they're going to spend the next 5 miles doing it. But I was thinking about something, and all of the issues of drivers being inconsiderate go back to training. Whenever I train a student, I don't allow them to do those things, and I explain it to them. Like, they may want to pass a truck, and we're only going 2 miles an hour faster, and I'll tell them, wait until you got enough clearance in that left lane that you're not going to hold anyone up. Then we'll get out there and go around them. If we don't ever get that clearance, that's fine. We'll slow down. It's not a big deal. We're still going to get there. Okay? We got 11 hours to drive. That's not changing. Whether we're doing 120 or we're doing 55, it's not going to matter. And sometimes they mind and sometimes they don't, But, it's something you got to learn to deal with. You got to be respectful of other drivers. When we park in a truck stop, I kind of let them pick the parking so I can see how they're viewing it. But I'll tell them, all right, first things first, what's the easiest spot to get into with the least amount of exposure to an accident? Next, once we get in that spot, are we going to be blocking anybody? Is anybody going to have to wake us up? Or are they going to be hindered from moving whenever they come off their break? Okay. Are we blocking an entrance or an exit? Are we blocking a path to the fuel island? And then the last thing is, can people get around us? It may be late at night when we park and the truck stops full. So we've all done it. You make a spot somewhere, but I'll tell them, can people get around us? And sometimes even we'll stay awake a little while, and I do the same thing when I'm by myself, and I'll let a truck or two go by to make sure that I'm not blocking anybody from that pathway of going around me, if I had to make a spot somewhere. Because I know what it's like to pull into a rest area or a truck stop, and I can't get by somebody, and you got to wake them up. They're not going to be in a good mood. You're not in a good mood, and it all could have been avoided had they thought about it a little bit when they parked. Same thing with people passing each other. When someone goes by me, now during the day I might flash my brights, but at night, no, because that driver is probably looking in that mirror, looking to be clear. If I flash my brights, I just blinded that driver. My brights just flashed off his mirror and into his eyes. So what I do is I turn my lights off for a second and turn them back on. Doesn't hurt him, doesn't hurt me. And on these newer trucks, like the truck I'm in, it's got a deal on the steering wheel where I can just punch the button and it kills my headlights, flashes them. The same thing with my clearance lights when I tell somebody thank you. I don't know who's training these drivers nowadays, but it's like they're not training them to do that. They're not training them to park properly. They're not training them to be considerate of other drivers in the fuel island or in a truck stop. And that's what it all goes back to. Everything that's happening goes back to that. If you're a trainer, a driver trainer, man, good for you. But, please take the time to train that student properly. Please train them to be considerate. You want them to be just as considerate as you want them to be a good driver. Whenever I've had students on my truck, I'll tell them from day one, I want you to be better than me the day you step off my truck. And I make it a personal goal Like every chance I got, I'm working on backing with them. Every chance, parallel parking. And I'll be honest with you, I hardly ever use parallel parking, but I still teach it. I do everything I can to keep from blindside backing, but I still will go over it. Some of these trainers out there just use drivers as meat in the seat. That's wrong. That's totally wrong, and that's what we're ending up with here. And I think part of the problem is some of these training companies are allowing guys to train who are not at a point where they're ready to train. The company I work for is very selective. In my opinion, they're probably a little too selective. But I got a lot of respect for them because they are selective. Not everybody here can train, and I think that's awesome. I believe you got to have at least 3 years minimum to begin with. And I think 2018 was when I trained here the last time. And when I applied for the trainer to be a trainer here, I think I had to wait a month because my paperwork went through my terminal, goes through my asset manager, goes through logs, then it goes to the training department. And everybody has to approve. Safety, everybody has to approve. If anybody disapproves, you don't make it. Also trained at Stevens Transport. There wasn't much of a check there. I trained at Celadon. There wasn't much of a check there. And I trained at U.S. Express, and there was hardly any check there. Celadon didn't even hardly have a class. At least the other companies had a class. And here, where I work now, we have a class here as well. But, I just think it's important that trainers realize you are training the future of trucking. If you don't like the way it is, you can actually train that out of the future of trucking by teaching your students properly. Doesn't guarantee they're going to go out here and they're not going to do those things, but it helps that they may come out here and not do those things. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't train them properly, then it's not going to matter. And a lot of it comes from these companies like CR England. I don't know exactly what CR England requires to train, but I know it ain't much. Pretty good odds that your trainer, if you're at CR England right now, it's a real good odds that your trainer is still learning himself or herself. I started training. Stevens made us back then. We had to wait a year. I think now they're down to 7 months. But even at a year, I don't think I was really ready. I want to say I'd been out here somewhere between 3 and 5 years before I was a efficient trainer. Some of these companies allowing guys to train and they haven't even been through a winter yet, or they've only been through one winter. It's sad, but there's an epidemic in our industry of inconsiderate drivers. And if these trainers will come together and work with these drivers a little better, or work with these students a little better, I think we could improve the industry as a whole. But that's what it's going to take. And it's going to take companies being more selective with their trainers. Y'all all know I'm not a big advocate of Stevens Transport. Alright. But I will tell you one thing Stevens Transport does that I like. And I don't know if they still do it, but they used to. When you go through the training program at Stevens Transport, they have 2 trainers. You have a beginning trainer and a finish trainer. Alright. Back in the day, you went out with a beginning trainer for 3 weeks. You went back to the yard. You were at the yard for about 2 days doing what they called OR2, Orientation 2, which was just a continuation of your orientation. Update you, kind of make sure you're learning like you're supposed to. Then you went out with a finished trainer for another 3 weeks. Alright. So, let me rephrase that. No, it was 5 weeks with your first trainer and 3 weeks with your finish trainer. So it was 8 weeks total. On the finishing trainer's truck, your job was pretty much to run that truck. Okay? He or she was just there to oversee you a little bit. Alright. But here's what was good about Stevens doing it that way. Number one, if there was a bad trainer, that second trainer would catch it. And he would know. So he could report that back to Stevens. Not that Stevens cared, but he could. Like, hey, I picked up this student. This guy came back. He said he's only backed a couple times. He was only used on the interstate. You know what I'm saying? The other thing it did by having 2 trainers is we all teach a little different. We all do things a little bit different. We all, there's little tidbits of things that we do that might be different from the next driver. So the student could come in. They went it with one trainer for a while. They learned his way. And then they could go with the second trainer for a little while, learn his way, and develop their own. Okay? And I think that was awesome. If they're still doing that, that's a good thing. I think having one trainer all the way through training, not that it's a bad thing. If you got a good trainer, it's great. But if you got a bad trainer, you're going to have poor training. And if you got 2 trainers, you have a better chance of alleviating that issue. By the time you get through the whole program, you should be doing pretty well. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts on this? And if I have any CR England drivers here, man, comment below. Let me know what their requirements are. I've heard that it's 3 months and they allow a guy to train. Don't know if that's 100% true. As y'all know, as drivers, we hear all kinds of crap. There used to be an old saying, how do you know a driver's lying? His mouth's moving. Ironically, a driver's got a podcast here. My mouth's moving. Not just kidding. But if you work for CR England, will you comment below? I'm kind of curious as to if that's true. I do know they got an exemption of some sort, and they're at CR England, they're allowing 2 students and 1 trainer. So they got 3 people on a truck. I think these trucks are way too small. As you can see, we're in my sleeper. Got my upper bunk up here. I'm sitting on my bottom bunk. I got a desk pulled out that my mic sits on. And I couldn't imagine 3 of us being in here. My computer's on one wall. I'm on the other wall. Okay? And I'm in a Freightliner. I just could not imagine 3 of us being in this truck. But hey, there's only 2 beds, so if that truck ever stops moving, I don't know who's spooning with who, but somebody's spooning with somebody. But anyway, I appreciate y'all staying tuned. I appreciate all y'all that support the channel, all the new subscribers out there. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching the video all the way through. Let me know your thoughts about the training program, and if you believe, like I believe, that a big issue in our industry is the fact that these trainers are not training properly. And we could really improve the industry as a whole if companies would be more, require more of their trainers and more selective of who's training. Anyway, y'all stay safe, stay warm, keep between the lines, and y'all keep trucking.